everybody. Welcome to Invisible Condition. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson. we created this show because we want everybody with an invisible condition to know that they have a voice, they have a community, and they are not alone. That's why we're here. And speaking of not alone, hello. I have my favorite guest on again. This is my wife, Catherine. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. I bet you have a lot of favorite guests.
I have a lot of, yes, but come on. I mean, let's be honest. You're my favorite on the planet. I've had some favorites, but come on. Let's be real. I mean, so we are here for a little different reason today. I wanted to bring Catherine on, and Elizabeth, our oldest, our 19-year-old daughter, is going to be on in the second segment. So watch for that. That's going to be fun. What I wanted to do was tell our story a little bit again, and then have Catherine and Elizabeth tell their story from their perspective, from that time of crazy, starting in August of 13 and moving forward to last October with my last surgery. So because it's last brain surgery, and because it's been crazy. It's been a little nuts, and when you're in surgery, you're asleep for all of it, so you don't see all the other stuff, and so they're going to tell you all the other stuff. So it's going to be cool. You're going to love it, and they're going to be awesome. So, right?
Bring it
On.
Let's tell it.
So just, we're not going to start from the beginning because we don't need to do that again. But we'll start from August of 2013. I think that's when the crazy started. So I'm just gonna kind of run through what's happened in the last 8 or 9 years, and we'll kind of go from there. So in August of 13, I came home from working at a baseball game, thinking I had an appendicitis. Couldn't stand up straight, abdominal pain like you wouldn't believe. Thought I had an appendix that was getting ready to burst. So came home, drove home, which is a mistake. Don't do that, by the way. Us crazy hydro warriors have high pain tolerance, but it also makes us do stupid things. So I drove home and then called the ambulance. Got to the hospital, figured out it was an obstruction in my intestine, and so it was real. That's why it was so painful. And so they did emergency surgery the next morning, and I was in the hospital for a few days after that. Went home. It's a really slow recovery, if I remember correctly. It was really painful for a long time, because it was a huge scar they put in there, and it was nuts.
Well, and we don't need to dive into this totally, but part of it too was the pain meds didn't sit well.
Oh, that's right.
That's not the point of today's story, but it didn't help recovery. So yeah,
make sure you get the right pain meds that sit well with your stomach. It's better that way. And so that's all we're going to say. So fast forward 6 months to March of 2014, same kind of stuff started happening, same kind of pain, same kind of, in the same area. Honestly, it was really weird. So I said, okay, that's got to be an appendicitis. Surely it's appendix. I'm wishing for something normal, Nope. Went in the hospital, turned out it was an infection. I can talk. An infection in my cerebrospinal fluid. Thankfully, it was contained in some pocket in my abdomen. But 3 weeks later, and 2 brain surgeries, I went home from that. They had to do 2 because they didn't quite get it positioned right the first time. So we went back in, got it right. But so following that was a solid year of nonstop migraines, which was really hard for everybody. I still was working. It was really hard because I was literally holding on to things to keep myself upright some days. But we got through it, and thankfully we found a couple of things that actually got rid of them in a very short amount of time. Once we found these 2 amazing practitioners that were not traditional medicine necessarily, but oh man, I'm thankful. We'll talk about them in a future show. In fact, I'm going to try and get them on a show so that you guys can meet them. But so praise the Lord. Headaches are gone. Carry on. Whew. We're done, right? I wish.
Not exactly.
Not quite. Fast forward to March of 2018, actually January of 18, December 31st of 2017, actually. We went into the ER on New Year's Eve, which I don't recommend that either. Please don't do it on New Year's Eve. It's a terrible place to be on New Year's Eve.
And from the caretaker's perspective, I can say we went in on New Year's Eve, December 31st. And as a lot of you may know, insurances can change at the beginning of a year. And so we went into the hospital on one insurance and came out the next day with another insurance. And from, so he's being cared for by medical personnel, but the staff people are talking to me about insurance. And I'm like, well, this is what we had today, but it's not what we're going to have tomorrow.
If you would have asked me 2 hours ago, it would have been this. Yeah.
Right.
That made it really fun for the bills and all that kind of stuff, man. That was a hoot. So the silver lining on that one is that was the first surgery I've ever had in my life, and the last one, actually, that wasn't a crazy hair on fire, get me to the hospital emergency. So that we had that, but then we figured out that the fluid wasn't absorbing. So I had to go back and I went back to the hospital about every 3 weeks to have the fluid, taken care of, drained from where it was collecting in my abdomen. That was awesome. But it wasn't an emergency. And I was so thankful for that, because emergencies are scary sometimes, right? So it's better to not have an emergency, honestly. So that's the silver lining on that one. But that surgery was done just before spring break, the last week of March in 2018. And honestly, I went back to work that next Monday after spring break and thought, whew, okay, now we're good. No more surgeries now, right? I know.
And then 2020.
And then 2021 came, late 2021, October. It was October of 2021.
Yeah.
But really leading up to that for about a year, I was having the craziest, or maybe it was partly in 2020. It was like halfway through 2020, really, right? Yeah. Is that, you noticed it more than I did? Was it 2020?
Yeah.
This is why the caretaker is so important. She notices things. I'm just, so.
Yeah.
So when was it? When did it start being noticeable?
Well, I think it was fall of 2020.
Okay.
We all know 2020 was the big COVID, right?
Crazy.
And so there was a lot of mask wearing. And what Jeff noticed was that when he would try to wear a mask, it, understandably, it messes with your oxygen levels. At least it did for him, for us. And so that's when we started noticing that he would have headaches that were worse, dizziness that was worse, even episodes of passing out in a way, or dizziness to the point of.
Or some speculated even that it was maybe absent seizures or something like that. We never really got it diagnosed. I don't know. Maybe we will someday, but I don't know. It was weird. It's all of a sudden the world would go from here to here, and I'd be. I won't now be diving for a chair or on the ground. And so it was so weird. Every surgery brought on a little bit different crazy, a little bit different thing, and I mean, honestly, it's understandable. You go poking around in the brain, and it results in a very real traumatic brain injury every time. And traumatic brain injuries can manifest themselves in so many different ways that you just don't know what's going to happen. And so that's kind of a roll of the dice, but you have to go in and have the surgery. So you just kind of hope it's not going to be a really terrible after effect,
Right.
So before the surgery was all that, was the headaches and the vertigo and the possible seizures. And so now, okay, went in, got the surgery, quickest turnaround time in history, in our surgical history. Went in on one morning at 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Surgery was at like 2 or 3. And the following day, we were driving away from the hospital at like 3 o'clock. So it must have been a high traffic day or something. I don't know. They kicked me out quick, but
Yeah,
It was all right.
we say brain surgery, which sounds significant, but apparently it's
Not significant enough for me to stay more than one night in the hospital,
right.
apparently.
Yep, for that one.
So for that one, yeah, for that particular one. So anyway, that's all right. It's like I said, everything's different.
Mm.
There's no two the same, which is yay. Oh, it's kind of got that dynamic. But,
Pluses and minuses.
right? Pluses and minuses for sure. So there you go. And so that's been the last brain surgery. And then I had gallbladder surgery too, but that was kind of minor. But really it kind of wreaked havoc too because of all the scar tissue. So that turned into something much more complicated. I was actually home, not being able to go anywhere because I broke out from all kinds of stuff that they gave me. And it was, for like a month I was home. So I don't know. There's no such thing as a simple surgery for Jeff. I don't think that's the moral of the story.
There's no routine surgery.
No routine surgery. I would wager to say anybody that has a hydro warrior in your family, anybody with an invisible illness, with hydrocephalus, with anything with a brain, honestly, any kind of condition that directly impacts the brain, I'm pretty sure that you can relate, because that is probably something you have experienced too, right? Every time it's something new. It's like the car that makes a new noise every morning. It's like, oh, so that's what we're doing now. It was not a car like that, right? So, what were you thinking over the years? I mean, we got married. We met so young. We met in 7th grade. We knew each other for 10 years. We got married, and for the first in 1999, and then till what was it? Let's see, that was 2013. So 14 years in, now all this crazy stuff's happening. What did you get yourself into?
I think some of my first thoughts were kind of disbelief, like, this isn't really a big deal. It's not really a problem. I was, please don't shoot me, don't judge me, but I was probably one of those people that started with, is this in your head?
Is it really in your head?
Is this really as bad as he's making it out to be? And sure enough, it really was.
I remember that look on your face that night that I came back from the baseball game, and I was hunched over, and I looked at you, and you're like, I don't think you took me seriously at first. You're like, oh, come on. Really? You're fine. You drove home. What's the problem?
Yeah.
So.
But to give you a little perspective on me, again, please don't judge me, but I was a shy enough person at the time that I didn't even call the ambulance for Jeff.
I did.
Again, please don't shoot me, but
it's weird calling the ambulance for yourself.
I know. But that was I was so amazingly shy, so not confident, not able to talk to people. And so he had to call the ambulance for himself. But it was scary, right? I was like, it was surreal to start with, not really believing that this is happening. But he was taken to the hospital. So, I went to the hospital as well. I followed in my own vehicle. And we got him checked in. It was really the next morning when they took him for the emergency abdominal surgery. And I was sitting there, they had taken him, they had wheeled him out. I was sitting there by myself in a hospital room going, and this is the point where the emotions are still there a little. But it was real, and it was a little scary, and I felt by myself. But I had a really good friend. I'm just gonna take a little drink here. Out of my mug with Snoopy on it. We had an amazing friend, and she was actually she was a marriage counselor. She was a marriage counselor, and she still is. In fact,
She's amazing.
yeah, shout out to the lovely Pauline Dillard at
Woohoo!
Dunamos Marriages. You can Google it and find her. She's a amazing marriage counselor,
Yes.
but also amazing friend. And so she and her assistant at the time both texted me and said, you know, what can we do? How can we come be with you? And sorry, emotions are still there. And so that meant a lot to me. And they came and they did. Pauline came and she sat with me the whole morning that Jeff was in surgery. You know, was with me. You know, just had conversations. You know, kind of distracting from, you know, from the craziness of, oh my gosh. Yesterday my husband seemed fine, and today he's having surgery. What? So I think the first, you know, point that I would make is, you know, if you know, for those of you who aren't a caretaker, but maybe you know someone who's, you know, walking alongside someone who's, you know, had surgeries, and, you know, if they say, oh my gosh, my loved one is in the hospital, care for them. You know, reach out to them, let them, you know, if you can go and be with them, go and be with them if you can. That meant a lot to me. To have somebody with me by my side. So, because it was crazy and chaotic to begin with. So,
well, and I mean, you were getting bombarded with like work calls for me, like, hey, how come, you know, and you're like, don't talk to me right now. Why are you bothering me?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's true. At the time, the job that Jeff was working, they called and was like, hey, I'm trying to remember if they were confirming that he was going to do.
That's what it was, like the next week or something.
Yeah, I was like, can he work the next week? And I'm like, nope.
Nope. Not a chance.
Nope, he cannot. He's in the middle of surgery right now. And, you know,
not.
We'll touch base with you in a couple days.
Yeah. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It started out as very mind-blowing. I think as, you know, a few, you know, he mentioned that it was about 6 months later that he was having similar pain issues, and drove him up to Denver. That one, you know, it was, that one, it wasn't quite as surreal. I think maybe because we had already been through it once, but that was still like, oh my gosh, something, you know, is happening. This is kind of crazy. And so, but I was a little bit more prepared, you know, like with the questions, like, you know, what's his medical history? What type of stuff could we possibly be dealing with? Because it was a different hospital than the first surgery. And so I was like, he has a VP shunt, and he's, you know, been diagnosed with hydrocephalus since he was born. And, you know, so I could give the doctors a little bit more to go on. So, you know, with each hospitalization, with each medical issue, I have, you know, grown in my confidence in, you know, saying, here's what he's, you know, here's some of his history, you know, here's what we need now. And so there was, I know that we need to go to a break soon, but let me tell one more quick story. One of the last hospitalizations in September, October of 2021, I can tell you that I had grown to the point where I was, you know, advocating for him. I was, you know, we were waiting in a waiting room for, I don't know, an hour,
ER
hour and a half.
or something.
Yeah,
ER waiting room for like 6 hours or something.
And so,
ridiculous thing.
But I have grown in my confidence and my ability to speak up for both of us. You know, I was going up to the staff and going, I know you guys are busy, but he's in a lot of pain, so can you give me a time frame? You know, just trying to speak up for him. So that's a bit of my story.
And I'm so glad that is the case, that you have grown through all those years and all that crazy.
Right.
I mean, it kind of forced you to, honestly. So it's
Yeah.
sorry that it forced you to, but I'm very excited that it did, because I'm proud of you for doing it, because that's tough.
If we don't, where would we be? So
Right,
let's
exactly.
keep growing.
Exactly.
So any other caretakers out there, you got this. Just one step at a time. You got
That's
this.
right. That's right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll be back in the last segment, but coming up is my beautiful daughter, Elizabeth. She is going to be talking with Catherine about some of the experiences they had while all this was going on. So stick around, don't go anywhere, and we will see you soon.
Hello, everyone. So I'm still here, but we traded. We traded our usual host, Jeff, for our beautiful oldest daughter, Elizabeth. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
So let's start by having you tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Well, like she said, my name is Elizabeth Pearson. I am the daughter of Jeff and Catherine Pearson, who started Hydro with Hope, and so very proud of them and excited for what they're doing with this business and the impact that they're having with this TV show. So, yay, parents. I am 19, graduated high school a little bit ago, and I am doing a Bible college program through my church, and it's called School of Discipleship. And I also work at Chick-fil-A, which is wonderful, and I love working there. And just love getting to serve the Lord, and content and thankful for where He has me. And yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I'm doing. So
awesome. Very good. Thank you. So as we mentioned, we're going to chat about Dad's medical challenges. He's out of the room. So we had some feedback from a viewer who said, I would be really fascinated to hear, what your kid's perspective was on, watching their dad have to go through, some of that craziness of, being taken away in an ambulance, or, being in a hospital for 3 weeks. And, so what is it, the question then, so we're going to talk about some of that is, how that impacted you. But I want to start with, what do you remember Dad being like? And between the two of us, we're going to say Dad. We mean Jeff. So what do you remember Dad being like before his first surgery? What sort of characteristics do you remember?
Yeah, well, to start with, the surgery was when I was like 10, I think, or like in 5th or 6th grade. So I was pretty young. But so there's not like a whole lot that I really remember, but I know that he was just my wonderful, loving dad, protective, strong, and all those things still reign true today. But I think it was just a little bit of a different way that I saw him as, just being invincible and being, I don't know, just, I guess it's hard to describe, but yeah, being invincible, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just all the things. And then I still see him in those ways, but it's a little bit shifted and different, realizing, like nobody's perfect and nobody's invincible. And sometimes you need surgery and sometimes you need help. And so just kind of having that mental shift a little bit, I guess. But
Yeah.
all wonderful, good memories.
Yeah.
Wonderful dad.
Sometimes when we're little, we think nothing can ever go wrong with our parents. For our parents, everything's always going to be.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. They know they got it all figured out, Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, do you have a favorite memory of Dad from that early time period?
That's a good question. There's a lot to choose from. But trying to think. Let's see. I think some of my favorite memories were honestly just like watching movies together as a family, which sounds kind of silly, but one of our like favorite traditions that I liked when we were younger was doing movie nights on Sunday nights, and we would have popcorn, apples, and cheese for dinner every Sunday night and watch super fun movies. And that's one of my dad loves to look at all kinds of different great movies and show it to us, and kind of, I don't know, get to watch a lot of different cool stories. And so I'm thankful for those memories and getting to do that together as a family. So that's probably one of my favorites.
Nice. Awesome. And then my next question is, are there notable memories from Dad's surgeries or medical hospital stays? Anything notable there that you remember?
Just like any of them, or what do you? I don't know.
How about the first one? Do you remember him being taken away in the ambulance?
I do. Yep. Yeah. I do remember that. It was not easy, and I think that's probably one of the hardest memories I have of him, of him being taken away in an ambulance and not knowing really what was going on. I remember him sitting on this little chair in our living room and just like being bent over in excruciating pain, and that was really hard to watch. And I remember my grandmother came over after he was taken, and we watched some fun movies together, and she was just there for me, and we stayed up late just kind of waiting to hear what was going on. And but yeah, it was really hard, and I think it's just hard not knowing, whether someone's gonna live or die, and knowing, and like hearing that siren and knowing that if they're coming for your dad, and that's and nobody wants that, and nobody should ever have that happen. Right. And so it was, just not what you want to go through at that age. But I think I just remember being, sad and confused, and I didn't really know what was happening, so I didn't feel a lot of like strong, uncontrollable emotion, but it was just kind of like, oh, this is not good. I don't know what's happening, but it's not great. Right? And so I think it's after the fact that I've kind of processed more and realized the impact of that. But yeah, that's kind of a couple memories, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned some of your emotions from during that first one. As he had more medical challenges and more hospital stays, did you experience any different emotions that accompany those experiences?
I think being trying to think. Maybe confusion for sure of like not knowing, what exactly was going on. How is this going to impact the rest of his life? Is this going to continue happening? Is he going to continue having surgeries? And just kind of the uncertainty of it all and being confused about, okay, like, was this a one-time thing? Is this a continual thing? What's going on, and what can I expect and prepare myself for, of how to deal with this and to move forward, and
Right.
just how to process that and know, like, okay, should I expect to like continue going through these things and seeing him in this way, or is this gonna, like, fix this surgery is gonna fix it all, and like, obviously I've had that conversation of, there's not one fix cure for these. I know, it's kind of an ongoing thing that will, don't know the future and can't know the future, and may the Lord's will be done in that for whatever it looks like for my dad. But I think that's kind of the emotions of just confusion and uncertainty, and being sad, but also trusting. I think my faith is one of the biggest things that has helped me through it all. Of I'm sad, but I'm also, I know the end story, and I know that I will see my dad again in heaven, and so I'm not super like concerned and worried about, like, oh no, like, I don't know. I trust the Lord, and I know that He has the best plan, and so I kind of have like sadness and joy at the same time, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't sound bad, but
No, it's our worldview, our biblical worldview that this life isn't the end. So, my next question is, what differences did you see, or have you noticed, from how Dad kind of was before any surgeries, and then maybe even during and after? What sort of
I don't think that there's
differences have you seen?
I feel like there's no like differences in like his personality and like who he is. Like, he's still the wonderful, hilarious, sarcastic, strong, like, he's still the same wonderful, like, godly man that I know. But I think my perspective has shifted more of like me becoming more protective of him, and like more like, okay, like, he's having a really not great day, or like, when he had all those migraines, or just like watching him go through those things, I saw him become stronger and persevere more, and just his determination of not ever giving up. He went through a lot of hard physical pain, and seeing, okay, like, he's not throwing in the towel anytime soon, like, he's not going to let this pain get the best of him, and seeing that has shifted my mindset of I don't know what it looks like to persevere, but also just being like, okay, like, he is not invincible, and he's not perfectly strong, and so I want to be able to be there for him, and I'm in the best way that I can, but to be able to realize, okay, like, he's not having a great day, let me see what I can do to lighten the burden, lighten the load, not overwhelm him any more than he is mentally, and or even like in overstimulating environments, like at church or in other like parties environments, being like, okay, how can I like help him shift away from that, or not be more overwhelmed than he is. So
yeah I think I've seen that in your younger siblings some too. I like what you said, a little bit of protectiveness, of my dad's hurting, and I don't know if I can make the pain go away, but I can do what I can do. I can protect his environment or shift him out of an environment. That's a really good way of dealing with it, for sure. Well, I was going to ask how these things have changed and shaped you, but you already answered that question.
Yeah.
What other memories do you have of any surgeries or hospitals. Maybe, are there any memories you have of when he was in Denver?
Yeah, I remember for sure going.
And just for the audience reference, we are about an hour south of Denver. And for one particular surgery, we had not yet established a preferred neurosurgeon here in our town. And so we made the choice to go up to Denver, where there's a wide variety of options. So it was about an hour drive from our house. So anyway.
Yeah. I was gonna say I remember driving to Denver, which is an hour away, and he was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, and my mom and grandparents and brother and sister and I would all kind of get in the van and drive up there and bring our homework and whatever else and stuff to do at the hospital, and just, hang out and be there for him. And I can imagine it would be lonely and sad to be in the hospital by yourself for days at a time. So, just being there for him in the evenings and when we were able to drive up there. And so I remember that, and I remember kind of, needing to be gentle around him and learning, like, okay, I can't climb all over him and I can't be rough with him, like you kind of have to, like, okay, like, make sure that dad is in the right place where he can be healing and resting. And so not, any memories of, like, doing a lot with him, but, just being with him and being in the hospital for him. And I remember other people coming and visiting, and I thought that was amazing. We had our friends Dennis and Valerie and the Masons. They came in and visited us, and I remember Shelly, and I can't remember anyway, but we had, like, other family visit us and people, and that was just really sweet, and bringing us casseroles and dinners and stuff at home, and just having that community and support was really awesome to see, and see that example of what it looks like to serve someone in need and be there for someone. And yeah.
Did that open your eyes to like, hey, our friends and our family, they really can serve us in tangible ways? And
I think also just seeing too, like, you need to ask for help sometimes, and and, like,
right?
Just my parents being willing and humbling themselves to be like, hey, we need help, and we need food, and we need groceries, whatever it may be, and just being able to have people step into their life in that way and see there were people willing to help. And I thought that was a really cool example and thing to witness.
Yeah, it's true. When you're, even if you're not driving an hour to a hospital, if the hospital is here in town, there were plenty of times too when, when we were here, but, like Elizabeth said, you don't want the person in the hospital to feel alone all day, so you try and go and visit. But then when you go and visit, you don't have time to, make meals, cook meals at home and help your kids with their homework as much. And so yeah, caretakers, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Very true.
Yep. So we are at the end of our segment, and I was wondering, just what has really helped you to maintain hope? What our company is called Hydro with Hope, and so we like to remember how, and help the audience to think about how different ways to sustain hope within our lives. So yeah, what do you?
I think the only thing I can really think of is my faith in Jesus and in the Bible, and that's what has given me hope through my entire life, and through especially just hard times with health issues and things that my dad has gone through. And I think being able to know that that there is someone that empowers me when I am weak, and that I'm not alone, and I don't have to go through things alone, because I have Jesus with me, but I also have family and community and Christian friends and people there to support me, and knowing that I don't have to be independent in my suffering and in trials and things that I walk through. And so I think that's just the biggest hope that I have.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so very much for joining me to share these insights with the audience.
No, it's my pleasure.
And so we are going to go to another commercial break. And when we get back from the break, Jeff will be back with us again. So thank you. And see you all in a couple minutes.
Hey, and we're back. Presto changeo. And what happened?
It's musical chairs over here.
Good times in the Pearson household here. Switching around, keeping you on your toes. So, was that fun? I feel like, was that good? What'd you guys think? Were they awesome?
Did we do okay?
Of course they were awesome. So what are we talking about here? What are we going to talk about in this last thing? Let's see. Oh yeah, new normal. After all of that, after all the crazy and all the, we're going to do what surgery again? Really? So new normal. I mean, every time you do a brain surgery, there's a new normal. But for a family, there's also a new normal, not just for the person that's having the surgery and having the trauma that's going on there. There's trauma to the family too. So what have you noticed since? I mean, there's a progression, obviously, since 2013 to today, but I don't know if you want to talk about that or just like overall or the most recent one or.
Yeah, I think there's been a gradual shift to, I mean, like Jeff said, with every surgery, there's afterwards, things can be a little different each time. And after the hospital stay in Denver, where he had a couple of surgeries and then ended up with migraines, that time period, I was going, I hope this is not the new normal.
Right, me too.
Because
that's brutal.
For any of you out there that deal with chronic migraines, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you, because it's brutal, and it really takes a lot out of every aspect of your life. So during that time frame, we were problem solving. It's like, what are our options
today? What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and is there something different we can try? Is there, can we shift, something about his shunt? Can we shift diet? Can we shift sleep? Can we shift? And so I think one aspect of the new normal is problem solving, and really, really doing, asking ourselves, have we tried this? Have we tried that? And doing research on different therapies and different modalities and different, all sorts of different aspects to see if you can, we don't always like to live with the new normal of extra pain. So can we shift back to the previous normal a little bit?
Relatively normal, maybe, yeah.
Right?
Well, and we never really went down the road of like turbo meds either. I mean, they gave me some with after every surgery. I felt like a drug dealer after a while. I had so many bottles of turbos, crazy pills in our cupboard, but I never really took them because they didn't really, after that many surgeries and the pain tolerance and stuff, it just doesn't do a whole lot. So that was never trying to figure all that out. We never really were like, oh, well, what medication should we pursue next? We never really went down that road. So some people do, and it works for them. And more power to you. I have never taken a regular medication, and I'd kind of like to keep it that way if I can. But we went down a different way, different methodology. But,
yeah. I mean, so just like Jeff said earlier, we'd love to bring on some guests that will talk about these different modalities. But just to give some, to give the audience a couple ideas. We did try chiropractic, and we're very fortunate to have a neurologist chiropractor,
chiropractic neurologist.
There it is.
The only one in Colorado, by the way. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So anybody watching Colorado, he's here in the Springs.
Yeah. So he, has that extra knowledge of the brain, and then he's also a chiropractor just to make sure everything's in alignment. We also did neurofeedback.
Yep. We've
also tried different things with diet and
which there's a couple different types of neurofeedback. This place that we went to that it worked. They got rid of the migraines completely in like a month. It was a miracle. That is one type of neurofeedback, and some people do it different. There's like two main versions of it. So, there's also variable there too. Which one might work better for you or whatever. But we're going to definitely have that chiropractic neurologist and the lens practitioner on here because they have saved my life, honestly. So They're coming. Don't worry. In fact, I might even put some info about them in the comments after the show. I don't know. We'll see. But okay, so new normal. That's the deal. Here we are, new normal.
Yeah.
And how have you, Catherine, found hope in the midst of the new normal?
Yeah, I think it's real similar to Elizabeth. There is a lot of our faith is based in a lot of our. Let me rephrase.
Cut.
A lot of my hope comes from my faith. That's based in the God of the Bible and how he, how we feel his support tangibly, his presence, and also how we have found our Christian brothers and sisters, our community of our church community, to come alongside us, to support us, to say, how can we help you? So I think there's a lot of hope in my faith, and also I feel very fortunate to have a lot of friends, a lot of family. Well, I don't know. I can't say a lot of family, but
some family.
we have family nearby who've always been very supportive and caring.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and those friends. I've definitely, I think I've gotten better at reaching out for help. Hey, this is going on, and maybe I can't pick up the kids from school. Hey, friend, can you help pick up the kids from school, or I can't make it to this event or that event or whatever, and just communicating with friends and family. So
because they want to help. You know,
Right?
people want to help, especially when
true.
they know that you're going through something that's not great, even if it's something chronic. You know, even if it's a lifelong condition. When there's flare-ups or when there's surgeries or when there, whatever, you know, just because it's lifelong doesn't mean people get sick of taking care of you. Okay, but it's, you know, thankfully, I'm very thankful that, you know, come on.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah. So that just keep reaching out, man. Keep asking for help because it's out there.
And
you know,
I think some other things that I have done tangibly are making sure I take care of myself. You know, I take deep breaths when I need to. Take deep breaths. I make sure that, I'm getting good nutrition into my body so that I have physical stamina. My brain is supported to make decisions and cope and all of those, all of those things. So there's a self-care piece that's very real as well, which has become definitely a significant part of the new normal.
Fun. People hear it all the time. Put your mask on first. You can't help anybody unless you help you. You know, in the airplane, right? If oxygen, if the cabin pressure, whatever, the masks drop. Don't run around putting everybody else masks on and then pass out in the aisle because you got to help you first. Otherwise, you're no good to anybody else.
Yep.
So yeah. So thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah. It's awesome because I don't always do the best at that myself. So it's that's another show. So anyway, well, this has been awesome. Thank you for doing this. This has been so fun. And I didn't hear anything from the last segment, but I'm excited to go back and watch it and check it out. So this will be good. So one thing that I do want to point out that before we go, and I got about a minute to do it, but one other thing that we're doing to help people in similar situations is this show. If you know of anybody that has an invisible condition, lives with an invisible condition, has a relative, a friend that wants to bring hope to others through their invisible condition, or you are a hydro warrior like me, and you were born or acquired hydrocephalus, and you need somewhere to take notes and track your progress through the surgeries. We have an amazing journal. I don't know where I'm pointing, right there. That's for sale on Amazon and on our website. So we've got resources. We want to help. Please reach out. We are excited to help you. And you can reach me on the Invisible Condition page on Facebook, on YouTube, Hydro with Hope on all these platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. So reach out. I want to talk to you. I want to help. So have an amazing day. And is there anything else that you have, or are we?
I don't think so. I'm reachable on Facebook as well. Catherine Pearson. This is the face. Facebook, Instagram, and if anyone has questions for me, you can also drop them in the comments of this show. If you're watching this show on Facebook or YouTube, you can put a comment in there and we'll see it. Please reach out and let us know what's worked for you as well. Or if you have any questions.
It's a community for a reason. I mean, that's what I said at the beginning of the show. We're a community, and we want to keep it that way. We want to act that way. So you are not alone in, as somebody with a condition or somebody caring for somebody with a condition. You're not alone either.
Community, right?
Right.
Community.
So that's a huge thing to remember. So keep that in mind. And I think we're done. I think we're good. If you don't have anything else, I think we are good. And I am so glad that you've joined us, and I'm so glad that you joined us. I can't believe this. This is so cool. We've only done this a couple times, the two of us, and it's been so fun. So
thank you for having me.
So anytime, literally. So yeah, awesome. And we will, we'll see you next time. And I don't know who the guest is going to be next time because I'm totally drawing a blank, but that's okay. That's all
That's
right.
okay.
So
Watch the Facebook posts.
yeah, check the Facebook page because it'll post, like the day before. So
Yep.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day.